May 2025 developer update is here, and it's got probably one of the most surprising changes I think I've ever seen in a patch. Like, when I talk about surprising, I have not been this shocked that a killer is being touched in fucking... I think the whole time I've been playing this game, I've never been more surprised, except I would say the unknown. The last time I was this surprised a killer is being updated was when they just randomly nerfed the unknown for no fucking reason. So, with all that being said, let's go ahead and hop in. I've already read through all of these, but there are some interesting things. Also, let me move my camera because I'm fairly certain when I start scrolling down, I'll be in the way otherwise. So let's go ahead and take a look. The first thing they're going to walk us through is some of the quality of life updates that they've been talking about. Most of these are absolute W's from the jump. When I say from the jump, I mean from the get-go, they're just absolutely amazing. So they added a system to identify whether a survivor's sacrifice is an intentional attempt at going next. If a player is identified as intentionally going next, they will receive a disconnection penalty point. Remove the option to self-unhook on the first stage unless they have one of the following equipped. So, Slippery Meat perk, up the ante, a luck offering. I'm also going to assume that Deliverance is included in this, but Deliverance is a guarantee. I hope they didn't oversight Deliverance like some weirdos, but I'm gonna assume Deliverance is a part of this. Then they added unlocks the ability to attempt to unhook yourself effect to luck offerings, and then survivors are no longer instantly killed after 2 struggle skill check passes without any input. Then they said the disconnection penalty system is not active on the PTV, so certain facets of the going next penalization will not be available to test. And then they say, dev note, we've made the above changes in order to tackle going next from 2 directions, penalizing repeat offenses and limiting exploitability of self-unhooks. By restricting early match self-unhooks to specific perks and offerings, this still allows players to work it into their strategy while limiting cases where it's used in bad faith. So essentially, when I first read this, I was a little confused. I was like, you don't need to do both. You just need to take away the ability to self-unhook. But then I realized what they're basically doing is not only highly limiting your ability to just go next by killing yourself on hook and stuff like that. They're also making it to where you can't bring, say, up the ante every game and then go next whenever it doesn't suit you and then do that multiple times in a row. It's not like you'll try to up the ante, and then if you fail, you get a disconnection penalty when you get to the lobby. That's not what they're saying. What they're saying is that if this kind of stuff happens repeatedly, over and over and over again, and I'm assuming there's also some kind of internal system to tell them, say, how many gens are left, how much time you spent in chase, whether or not other survivors came to unhook you after a certain time period, stuff like that. I'm assuming all of that is there's a long list of things they look at, and the reason, before anybody asks, the reason they're not telling us what the system looks at is because they do not want people to be able to circumvent it, right? So they're really going all out in trying to prevent your teammates from fucking you over by killing themselves when they by making sure that teammates don't be a bitch, basically. This has been a problem for a very long time. Me and various other content creators have talked about it for a very, very long time. Far too many people in this game just absolutely screw their teammates over for no reason. And no, I don't want to hear shit about, well, actually, if killers would stop tunneling in 5 gens, well, actually, if my teammates would just do generators when I'm in chase, well, actually, no, that's not it. That's not it. As somebody who has played both sides, basically 50-50 since my return, I can tell you that Survivor players will give up for absolutely no fucking reason other than they got hit first, or it's a Tuesday, or it's a killer they didn't like, or whatever the case may be. So, overall, this is a big W. I am very, very proud of Behavior for not telling us what the system looks at, so that people cannot further try to circumvent it. I literally just woke up 10 minutes ago to 15 messages about a certain killer that's being changed. Even my boy Mint Skull messaged me. That's how you know this killer is wild. which most of you already know who the killer is, so I don't know why I'm trying to like keep it a secret, but whatever. Anyway, extreme hiding update. They updated the AFK detection system. If a player is considered AFK, crows will gradually begin spawning above the survivor, beginning with 1 and capping at 3. Once a survivor has 3 crows following them, they lose collision with other players. With this updated system, we've adjusted how the game identifies players who have stopped contributing to a match. While the crow system largely functions as before, an additional effect at 3 crows prevents survivors from intentionally griefing teammates with body blocking, also preventing the killer from holding survivors hostage. This is a fantastic system. My question is, weren't they going to make it to where if you haven't touched a gen in like a certain amount of time, that they were going to start spawning crows, so you couldn't just walk around the map or stand in the corner dropping and picking up your item or whatever, to prevent people from basically AFKing in a corner until all their teammates are dead? I'm hoping, I think that's what this is. I'm kind of hoping to read a little bit more into what this is doing in the future, because that's what I had read it as, and that's really what I'm excited for, because there's nothing worse than, 1, having a teammate fuck you and your team over by doing absolutely fuck all for the entire match, and 2, as a killer player, getting down to 2 survivors left with 3 gens left and then having to play fucking hide and go seek for the next 15 fucking minutes. Next up, Blood Web spending improvements. There's a GIF here that didn't load in for some reason. Ooh! Holy crap, that's quick. Nice. I wish I could pause this GIF. I'd like to see a yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Like I said, I'd like to see like a what, Baxter? What? All the way down the hallway I can hear your fat ass. What? I'm doing a video. Get on your bed. He'll get up there in a bit. Anyway, I'd like to see a just kind of a straight up spend all my points option, but overall this looks really good. I can't wait to test this on the PTB. Anyway, they added the auto blood web button to allow you to set how many levels you want to automatically progress through the blood points. Dev note, it's no secret, this is one of the most common community quests, so we're excited to put this in your hands. It's what it says on the tin, so check out this GIF. Even better, we've removed some of the reoccurring pop-ups after you see them once, making your time in the blood web even more snappy. Good to know. Good to know. I will say, before I get to these, sorry, I will say that one of the big things I've always wanted is like a preferred item type of deal. So like if I want to, if I like on Vecna right now, right? So Vecna is my main killer. I've got less than 200 of each of the purple add-ons. So right now I'm like looking for the purple add-ons every time I level. I would like to be able to just click, say I want to prioritize purple, 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 and then when I auto spend, it grabs any purples that would have shown up that I could have viably gotten. Anyway, next up, Mori update. Updated the Mori system, so now that it can also be activated when 2 or more survivors are dead, and the following occurs. The second to last survivor is hooked and on struggle phase, and the final survivor is in one of the following states: healthy, injured, or dying. Good chain. Wait, what does this mean? I'm assuming they still have to be on the ground. This is just worded very weirdly. Okay. With this change, killers will be able to activate their Mori earlier, so long as victories is assured, removing the need to wait for any hook survivors to be sacrificed. This will let players on both sides get back to the action sooner. This is absolutely fantastic. This was literally the only problem with the finisher Mori update, so they finally adjusted it. Good shit. Big W. So far everything's looking good, right? W. Map offerings, also a big W. Map offerings grant a flat percentage chance of being sent to the associated realm. This chance is no longer a guarantee. Map offerings no longer stack, and map and gameplay affecting offerings are treated as secret during the loading screen. This last change is interesting, but we'll talk about these two first. I'm going to be completely and utterly honest with you. Remove map offerings. See, Baxter agrees. Down there. You guys can't see him, but he's down there. He's in his box. What? Get in your box. You want to get on the chair? Get on the fucking chair then. Well, get on it. See? I'm standing. You don't need to yell at me to get on your chair. It's like I have a co-host. Anyway, I did an experiment with my chat where I did an entire prestige level, and I counted how many blood webs at least one map offering showed up in. Not how many map offerings showed up in the blood web, that number would have been way higher. How many times when I saw a blood web did a map offering show up? Roughly 60% of blood webs have a map offering in it. Map offerings are an outdated mechanic from back when you had like, when they had like 5 maps and you were just gonna be guaranteed to end up on one of those maps regardless. Great idea to have them in the game, right? As a pseudo map selection feature. When you've got as many maps as you do now, and some of them are as horribly unbalanced as they are now, this is not enough. This is great. This is wonderful, and I don't want to sound ungrateful because this is an amazing change, but map offerings clutter the fucking blood web. There is so many of them. You know how bloody party streamers are green? Well, I guess they're blue now, but basically bloody party streamers are like in the middle of the rarity cycle. So you have the iridescent, the rare among rares, and then your purples is your ultra rare. This is like kind of late night, kind of rare, but not really. Then your green, or now it's blue, sorry, is rare. And that's like the middle, because then you go to uncommon and then you go to common, right? For a rare offering, most people never see a bloody party streamer in an entire prestige. They can go an entire prestige without seeing a bloody party streamer because there are so many rare offerings in the game. Not just rare offerings, rare color, like rarity color, right? There's so many blue offerings in the game that bloody party streamers ever show up on either side. So I think that map offerings are an outdated mechanic that just needs to be just removed, taken out of the game completely. It unclutters the blood web. It's less daunting for new players. It's healthier for the game overall. Time to cut your losses and just get rid of the damn things. But this one I thought was interesting. Map and gameplay affecting offerings are treated as secret during the loading screen. By making map and gameplay offerings secret on loading screens, our intention is to preserve the element of surprise, preventing the imposing role from starting the match with knowledge of your strategy. I'm wondering if this means that like everything except BP offerings. So we're talking oaks, we're talking hatch offerings, we're talking luck offerings. That's a lot of shit to be secret, which I'm not against. I think that's a really, really good idea. I think it's really fun. I will say, and I don't know if this is already not a problem because the only secret offering that survivors currently have are the shawls. Make sure your teammates can see it, right? So if there's a hatch offering, make sure your teammates can see the hatch offering, right? I understand not letting the killer see it. That's kind of a lot of killer players are gonna be bad. I don't give a fuck, right? Bring your own hatch offering. They're brown, bro. You have like 500 of them. Just bring your own hatch offering. Sorry. But yeah, I think it's a cool idea. And the same thing goes, like if the killer brings a hatch offering, if it's secret, that's good. It adds a lot more strategy to the game. I like that. Next up is the spawn rules and updates. Now, I read through this, and then I read through some of the comments on Reddit and also some of the reactions in my server. I think a lot of you guys are getting confused, so I'm gonna try my best to make it simple. So adjusted the following spawn rules. Survivors spawn as close together as possible. They spawn on the same floor, where applicable, and the killer will not spawn at the center of small maps. All of this is straightforward. Everybody understands this. This is where people are getting confused. Change the name of the Shroud of Separation to the Shroud of Vanishing, and change this effect to nullify offerings that change survivor spawn locations. So basically, the killer used to have a offering called the Shroud of Separation. The issue with the Shroud of Separation is that you as the killer never want the survivors to spawn far away from each other. You are always able to control survivors far easier when they spawn together, except for like the twins, maybe wants people to spawn separately. Like that's it, right? Every other killer in the game wants the survivors to spawn grouped up so you can control the situation better. Because if you've got a Vittorio in that corner, a Meg in this corner, you're chasing a Dwight, and then the Dwight runs you next to a Jin with a Claudette on the Jin, you're only keeping 2 survivors busy right there. Meanwhile, Vittorio and Meg are just sitting there cranking out a generator. There's no way to really actively patrol that in any easy, sensible way. So this is good. And then they changed the name of the Shroud of Binding to the Shroud of Separation and changed its effect to spawn survivors apart from one another. This makes sure that the survivors now have one of the most powerful offerings in the game. And essentially what they're doing here is they're making it to where you as the killer can prevent survivors from spawning separated if they bring an offering. Now, this does create the same problem that map offerings and Sacrificial Ward have, where you might bring a counter offering that does nothing. And sorry. So I don't know. I think that if you bring a Shroud of Vanishing and the survivors don't bring a Shroud of Separation, you should just get that refunded to you. See what you're doing to me? With these changes of spawn rules, player will find their spawn locations more consistent when not affected by offerings. Good, good, good. Next up is Gamma adjustment settings. Added a video category to the graphic settings menu. Added a brightness setting to the video category to adjust gamma. Dead by Daylight is a game that relies heavily on a play between light and dark, which can be difficult to strike balance between when playing on console, given the more limited options available. To help alleviate this, we've added a setting for adjusting gamma, which gives players more control over how light and dark elements are displayed. And then we've got the classic gamma setting type of dealio, where it's like, hey, this shows you how the darks react, how the brights react. This is your gamma on the lowest setting. I can already assure you, there's gonna be some psychotic fucking players out there that are gonna be like, lowest gamma setting streak. How far can I get when I can't see shit? I'm not doing that, but there's a free idea for all you budding content creators out there. I get asked all the time, Kaiser, how do I get in the content? There you go. Lowest gamma streak. Attempt to win the game when you can't see shit. And then this is the highest gamma, which is interesting. Okay, this looks good. Looks good. Custom match improvements. Increase spectator slots in custom game to 5. Added a hotkey input to custom game spectating to quickly switch to view a specific character. And added controller support for the above improvements. Surprisingly, a small amount of stuff that you're adding. Not only is custom match an easy way to play with friends, it's also a valuable tool for coordinating tournament play. To help streamline its use in these environments, we've added hotkey support to various methods for view switching to make the casting on the fly even easier. Plus, with increased spectator slots, tournament organizers have the option to give viewers visibility of all players in the match at once. That sounds sick as shit. That sounds sick as shit. The YouTube videos for tournaments are about to be fucking amazing. But they said, even better, we have more improvements coming. Oh, okay, cool. So, yeah, I missed that my first read through. I've read through this entire thing like 2 or 3 times. But yeah, that's really good. Fucking W. So far, before we get here, so far you can see this is a massive amount of absolutely amazing W changes. Fucking crazy. Now, you saw him. You see him. We'll get to him. Promise. The artist adjusted several add-ons. Overall, the artist is in a solid place balance-wise. It boasts useful add-ons that meaningfully change how her kit works. Then why are you touching her? To encourage even more pick variety among these, we've adjusted her top and bottom performing add-ons to bring their usefulness more in line with her other options. This is one of those situations where nobody asked you to change shit, and you're changing shit. I don't recall any, I've never seen an artist main say, please change these add-ons. I'm sure they're out there. I'm sure there's like 1 or 2 add-ons that need to be changed, probably buffed. But this, again, this is another one of those things behavior where nobody asked you to touch this fucking killer, and you're doing it anyway. Next up, this is the big one for me. I woke up to no less than, I'd say, 10 messages telling me that Vecna got updated. I am shocked Like, hella shocked, because I never thought they'd touch Vecna again. So let's go through some of these changes, and they're mostly good, but there's one I'm gonna rant and rave about. So, it says all the Lich's spells are available at the start of a trial. Fantastic. Put that on every killer. Every single killer should have their cooldowns at the start of the trial. Don't care who, that should just be how it is. However, it's happening for my baby boy. I'm very happy about that. Hell yeah. Reduce the cooldown of all spells. That is petrifying, because what do you mean you reduce the cooldown of all spells? Vecna's best two add-ons are the Pearl of Power and the Spell Storing Ring, which both assist in reducing your cooldowns by a very minor amount. The Spell Storing Ring does a universal 2-second cooldown, and the Pearl of Power, every time you land a basic attack, reduces the cooldown of all spells that are on cooldown by 3 seconds. I know that sounds weird, but basically, if you have, say, Fly, you have, say, Fly to the Damned, and Mage Hand on cooldown, you land a basic attack, all three of those spells take chop 3 seconds off the remaining timer. Let me think. So I'm gonna guess, right, my predictions. Dispelling Sphere is gonna go from 25 seconds to 20. Fly to the Damned and Fly are gonna go from 32 seconds to 30. And Mage Hand's probably gonna go from 40 seconds to between 35 and 37. If I had to guess. So this is also good. This is also a massive buff to the character. Dispelling Sphere's projectile now moves quickly when first casts and slows down over time. This essentially means that short-range Dispelling Spheres are now more effective. However, you're typically not using the Dispelling Sphere at short range because you just really don't use it in Chase outside of a couple of certain add-ons. So this is a buff, but it doesn't do what you think it does. Increase the Killer Instinct duration once survivors exit the Dispelling Sphere. A buff. Here's where I'm getting fucking mad. Increase the attack cooldown period after Fly ends. Now they've got a buff right below it that says it increase the duration and movement speed of Fly. But you don't need to do this. Fly's attack cooldown already takes like 10 years. Every single person who has played Vecna for more than like 2 matches will have experienced flying after a survivor, vaulting a window or pallet with your Fly, because that's a really good ability to have, and then standing around like a jackass as you watch the survivor walk directly through you and revault the pallet or window, making your entire exercise pointless. If you're going to do this, why the fuck does Fly allow you to go over pallets and windows? It doesn't make any sense. Why add that ability if we're not going to be able to use that ability to our advantage? I'm going to be completely honest with you. You can forego this and just buff the spells. I do not like this. I do not like this. Because you're nerfing something that's already overtly nerfed. Obviously, we need to wait for numbers. But I'm gonna tell you right now, even if this nerf is 0.1 second, it is 0.1 second too much. It is 0.1 second too much. This is already, like, the fatigue period after Fly ends already takes way too fucking long. And there is no reason that you need to be nerfing it more. Even if you're buffing Fly, this still, it takes too long as it is. So, no. Yes, kind of really doesn't do much. Yes, no, yes. Adjusted Mage Hand hold time to make it consistent for both killers and survivors, resolving a known bug. What bug? What, the one where you hold a pallet and then a survivor stands in a specific spot to stop you from going through the pallet, and then they just drop the pallet on your head after the cooldown's done? I'm trying to figure out what bug they're talking about. Increase the effects of magic items when casting associated spells. Oh boy. Oh boy. I don't like the sound of that. Adjusted several add-ons. Several. Let's hope Ring of Telekinesis gets a brand new effect. Unfortunately, a lot of this is just waiting for the patch tomorrow. Waiting for the numbers, but dubious, bad, okay, Good, bad, good, makes no difference, good. Now, here's the part where I, like, basically flipped out, okay? It says, for the Lich, much of his power focuses on providing utility over reliably injuring survivors. Wrong! Now, I'm not gonna sit here and give you guys a full-blown breakdown of the Lich and how he works. But the Lich's ability to reliably get injures relies on you not being a fucking idiot. Three out of his 4 spells are supposed to be for injuries. The Fly spell is supposed to help you catch up to survivors, and also the vaulting would assume that you're supposed to be able to vault the windows and pallets survivors take so that you can catch up to them more reliably. That is unfortunately not the case, because we talked about that earlier. The Mage Hand, yes, holds and picks up pallets to allow you to get M1s more consistently. The Flight of the Damned, while the Insta-Tech and the Elevation Tech are used for guaranteed injuries, it also is used as a type of zoning tool to either stop survivors from going to a certain spot or force survivors to crouch so that they slow down so that you can catch up to them. If you haven't been paying attention, one of my general tips for Vecna is 1 spell per health state. If you are using more than 1 spell to get a health state, then you are using Vecna incorrectly. Yes, utility is there on Fly and Dispelling Sphere, but realistically, his only real utility spell is Dispelling Sphere. That's it. So this is just a completely gross misrepresentation of how the Lich operates. So with this false premise in mind, they've said we've adjusted his 4 spells to increase the frequency with which they can be used to ensure there's more spell slinging, while quality of life adjustments help make these spells feel smoother to use. You say quality of life for smoother use, but then you're going to increase the fatigue period of Fly? Hey, quit making me sneeze. God damn it. Then they said on the survivor side of things, we've also wanted to ensure magic items feel like more viable options for countering each spell, so we've buffed them slightly. This feels a lot like the Unknown update, except they're not like gutting my favorite character. But they're approaching a lot of this with a complete and genuine misunderstanding of not only how this killer works, but how survivors are supposed to play against this killer. The magic items are great for in-game counterplay. They're great as they are right now. A lot of Vecna's counterplay, however, doesn't rely on the magic items. It relies on you paying the fuck attention to what he's doing. If you're paying attention to what he's doing, if you're watching him, then you're able to play around him fairly easily. His fly vault doesn't do anything. If he starts flying after you while you're running, just get to the nearest safe loop. His Flight of the Damned has a loud-ass sound cue that even my deaf ass can hear, but on top of that, a lot of Vecnas tend to telegraph their Flight of the Damned, which is one of the common mistakes we see. Dispelling Sphere doesn't do anything against you. Just as soon as you get scanned, make sure you move, because he knows where you are. And, Mage Hand is also one of those ones, like, don't pre-drop against a Vecna who has his Mage Hand off cooldown, and if he holds a pallet, just keep greeting that pallet and try to make it around again. Very, very rarely will Vecnas be able to catch you if they cast hold on a pallet without, like, pitch perfect timing. So this is all, like, Vecna is one big knowledge check character, which sucks for a lot of people, but the solution to this is to add a proper fucking tutorial for players against each of the killers. There are tons of creators out there that will be more than happy to teach counterplay to new survivors. We would love it, right? Me, Arshimi Bob, I guarantee you, if you ask either one of us, we would gladly help you come up with a guide for survivors to play against the Lich. I know so many killer mains, Levi and Bennett would come up with counterplay for survivors against Chucky. Of course, you have Otts, Darva, and Hins at your fucking disposal. You can create proper tutorials for the new players and for survivors as a whole. Just generally, on the surface, this looks fucking amazing, and I'm definitely down for some of the changes, but I am worried because, like I said, a lot of these just sound like you don't understand the character you created, and that bothers me somewhat. Okay, getting past all of that, Call of Brine is being updated, interesting. Dark Devotion's being updated, interesting. Retribution? Machine Learning, Superior Anatomy, Terminus, Thrilling Tremors, and Thwack. We've adjusted the values on the above perks, which boasted lower pick rates and kill rates to introduce small buffs to increase their viability. What? Okay, needs a buff for sure. Does not need a buff. Does not need a buff. Does not need a buff. Machine Learning is one of the most underrated killer perks in this game. This does not, okay. Does not need a buff. Does not need a, maybe. I don't think, no, this doesn't need a buff. This needed a buff for sure. This did not need a buff. This works just fine. So these two getting buffs is insane, is good. The rest of these, I don't know about that one, Chief. Next up, Survivor perks. Similar to the above, we're updating some perks with lower performance, introducing small buffs. They're buffing botany knowledge, Champion of Light. Okay, Counterforce did need a buff. It was pretty dog shit. Desperate Measures did not need a buff. One of the most slept on Survivor perks in the game. It did not need a buff. This does not need a buff. Exaltation did, 100%. And Light-Footed did not need a buff. Yeah, this is, okay. All right, sure. And that's it. That's all of the dev updates. Sorry for the very long video. Most of these are just great W changes. Hope you guys enjoyed the developer update. Appreciate you all watching the video. Sorry, I'm out of it. I haven't eaten today. I'm very tired, so I'm gonna go take care of all that. But I love you guys so much. As always, a great big special thank you to my channel members. Listen on screen now. If you want to find out how to become a channel member today, get awesome perks like seeing videos early, versus discount codes, and more, then please click that join button down below. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one.